This, my friends, is Tiffany Haddish. Before Tiffany got her big break in show business, she was broke and living in her car. With barely enough to eat, a man from the Church of Scientology.
And he's like, hey, you can come and take these courses and it'll help you with life and all that stuff.
After this, Tiffany Haddish took 3 courses that helped her improve her reading. After the course, Tiffany felt good about herself, and this made her believe in Scientology. Then immediately, they asked her to join.
They asked me to join and be like a worker there, be a part of the flagship. And I was like,
she was then presented with a billion-year contract.
You have to sign this contract, like billion-year contract.
Where she was supposed to work for them for 1 billion years without fail.
I signed it, and then they had me go into these barracks, and there was bunk beds, and I don't do bunk beds.
After telling them she wasn't sleeping on no bunk beds due to past traumas, Tiffany went on a rampage.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And so they took her to the E-meter to talk about these bunk bed traumas. More on the E-meter later. Finally, after a lengthy temper tantrum, the Scientologists got fed up with her, tore up her contract and told her to walk.
They was like, they got fed up with me and they tore up my contract and told me to go.
Wow, you got out, you're lucky. You want a lucky one.
If you think about it, Tiffany Haddish was among the lucky ones. She barely made it in. People like Shelly Miscavige weren't so lucky. She's been missing for the last 15 years, and some people are speculating that she's either dead or held captive by her husband, the supreme leader of Scientology, David Miscavige. Well, my friends, this is the world of Scientology. Click that like and subscribe button if you enjoy these videos, and leave me a comment down below. My name is Jeff Truman, and this is The Jeff Truman Show.
When I first entered a university, I took science and mathematics. I was forced to take this rather than philosophy, which was my natural bent.
Let me introduce you to L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. During his time in the Navy, Hubbard told stories of destroying 2 Japanese submarines. However, upon further investigations, no wreckages were found. A couple of months later, L. Ron Hubbard accidentally shot at a Mexican island, and he was immediately relieved of duty. After the war, Hubbard came home and told stories of being blinded and crippled by the war. But this was a strategic move. He said that the techniques of Scientology cured him. In the 1930s, Hubbard was a profound writer. He was known for writing science fiction novels that earned him a spot in the Guinness World Book of Records for the most books published by an individual. It was not until 1950s, L. Ron Hubbard published his book, Dianetics, that the world would find out who he really was. Through this book, L. Ron Hubbard introduced auditing and the E-meter that we talked about earlier. To be very brief, auditing is like a counseling session with a therapist, who Scientology calls an auditor. The auditor will then use a machine that looks a lot like a lie detector with 2 cans attached. Then, you hold the cans and talk about your traumas, while the E-meter needle rises and falls. After most sessions, people feel euphoric and want to do it again and again and again. After several auditing sessions, you will reveal and deal with the limitations and the past traumas in your life. It is at this point that Scientologists say that you've gone clear. After the success of Dianetics, Hubbard toured the world, giving lectures, and people would pay big bucks to hear him speak. Thousands upon thousands of people would attend, were each paid $500 per head. Get this, $500 from 1950 is equivalent to $5,964.81 in today's money. And don't get it twisted. This money was just for training in Dianetics. Around this time, L. Ron Hubbard convinced himself that he had found the cure to psychological trauma. Like all great stories, L. Ron Hubbard was rolling in money until he lost it all, and his pride and joy, Dianetics, was slowly dying. To prevent this, L. Ron Hubbard repackaged Dianetics into a religion that would soon be known as Scientology. Now it was time to monetize it. Every auditing and clearing journey had a price tag. For this, Hubbard made hundreds of millions of dollars to shelter this money from Uncle Sam in 1967. He tried to get a tax exemption from the IRS, but the IRS denied him the exemption and immediately started to investigate him and his Church of Scientology. Due to this, Hubbard fled the United States, never to be seen for a long, long time. Since Hubbard was undergoing tax investigations in the 60s, he fled to various countries and started the Sea Org. To find people to join the Sea Org, he recruited his followers as cheap labor. While in the Sea Org, the crew would suffer harsh working conditions and get paid 40 cents an hour for their hard work. However, that didn't faze them, since every night Hubbard would mesmerize them with outrageous stories of hope. But in real sense, he was taking them on a real-life treasure hunt, and no one dared question his authority. For example, if auditors made a mistake during auditing sessions or someone didn't follow his orders, they would get tossed overboard.
One of the penalties for the auditors making mistakes in their auditing sessions was to be tossed overboard.
Unfortunately, in the 70s, L. Ron Hubbard's ships were no longer welcome at any dock in the Mediterranean Sea. So Hubbard set sail for the United States. When he got to Florida, he snuck ashore to avoid IRS agents. But Hubbard was still on the lam. During around the mid-70s, Scientology reconfigured itself yet again as a means of getting high without drugs. At this time, a lot of celebrities began to gain an interest in Scientology.
So they purchased the Celebrity Center. The idea was to draw in these famous entertainers and use them as pitchmen for the religion.
But sadly, in 1986, Scientology suffered a big blow. L. Ron Hubbard died of a stroke. What people don't really know is that Hubbard questioned his sanity, because in 1947 he wrote a letter seeking treatment. Some also believe that he used Scientology as a form of self-therapy. So with Hubbard dead, David Miscavige took control of the church. And I'm telling you, man, Miscavige ran that church with an iron fist. A church, a mosque, or a cult is a brotherhood of safe space for the unwanted, the misunderstood, and the outcast. A place where they can feel accepted and understood and loved. Take, for example, Heaven's Gate. Most of the people who joined had the same ideology and felt special, but misunderstood by the society. In our case, Scientology sells you the same idea. Everything makes sense at the beginning, according to YouTuber Mangotology, who was a former Scientologist. He stated that
you go on in Scientology, you're going to learn all these tools on how to improve your life and go up the bridge and all these wonderful things. That's what hooked me.
Since we're all looking for a better life, whether you're unhappy, happy, the more sessions you attend, the more they shift you toward Scientology. And to you, it will be like,
a business investment, you can write it off, you can charge it to the company or charge it to the credit card. It's a write-off, it's great, like this is gonna help your business. Like, wouldn't you want to invest $5,000 to be able to triple your practice? If you're making $100,000 and go up to making $300,000, don't you think that's worth a $5,000 investment? You guys have to see the level of manipulation, how they do those type of things.
Trust me, people lose all their money and drown themselves in debt. Now, how do they get you in the door for the first time? Well, you could be taking a stroll down the streets of Hollywood Boulevard when two beautiful girls approach you. During this encounter, the girls will innocently persuade you to take a free personality test that won't take up much of your time. So you walk into the org building and take a 250-question personality test. After the test, the auditors or Scientologists tell you your strengths and your weaknesses and how they can help you improve yourself. But at a fee, of course. A fee of $50 to $500. If you decide to fix yourself and take the course, well, you, my friend, are unfortunately now hooked.
So depending on what flaws that they see that you have, that's what they're gonna promote to you. If you're like a very depressed or anxious, or they figure that you have a lot of problems, they may try to put you in on Dianetics, and they'll show you a Dianetics film, and then they'll get you, and then they'll say, hey, you know, we have this introductory package of our counseling, we'll even give you a free session or two, like probably in the beginning, we'll give you like 10 hours of auditing for like $550, or like they'll come up with something that's reasonable at that point if they really want to sell you on the counseling, the auditing. But normally they'll just try to sell you on the book and lecture course, $50. They'll say your communication level is very down, your confront is very down, your affinity towards people. Take the Success Through Communication course. I think that one is now $125 for that specific one, because you do it with a partner, and then you guys will be working together on doing communication drills and increasing your communication.
Celebrities, however, have a different entry. Some get recruited by friends and family, or even recruiters. Or in Tom Cruise's case, he was converted by his first wife, Mimi Rogers, in 1986. Now Mr. Cruise is a huge spokesman for the church. Life in Scientology is very complicated. To many, it may seem like a blood and money-hungry cult, but to some, a pleasant spiritual group that focuses on the great tomorrow. As a celebrity, Scientology is not as grim as people may think. You'll get the best treatment, top-tier auditing sessions, and the church will back you up no matter what.
The church has done so much for him. They've tricked out all his cars and his motorcycles.
Oh, I want a new limo. We'll build it for you. Decked out.
However, there's a catch. There's always a catch, man. You have to be loyal. You have to be a loyal believer. You have to support the church financially and morally before the press, to your family and friends. Plus, the rich and famous in Scientology are the ones who mostly reach the highest levels of Scientology, which is OT8. At this level, it gets even crazy.
I finally get to OT3, and they give me the secret materials, which you've been hearing about all this time. They're handwritten by Hubbard.
Once you get the documents, they tell you this odd story. Bear with me. 75 million years ago, an ancient being called Xenu was a dictator of the Galactic Confederacy. He then brought humans to Earth and dropped them, releasing their thetans into the environment. These thetans are upset, thus causing negative emotions. When you overcome these emotions, you now achieve OT levels. In simple terms, this means give me your money for an intergalactic exorcism. Classic. Classic. Now, normal people like you and me, well, we would probably end up in the Sea Org, or what I like to call the cheap labor unit. You're not allowed to be on the internet, you're not allowed to have a cell phone or a personal computer.
Didn't your senior wallop your head every day?
Months.
For 6 months.
Every day.
She's she smacked your head every day.
Yeah, it was like that.
Just like that.
Right across the back of the head. And only when I was sitting down at my cubicle with my headset on, trying to make phone calls.
Besides all the yelling and physical beating, due to the poor working conditions, the risk of getting sick is too real to negate.
I had what's called candida, and it was to its maximal point with me, where you had the thing on the tongue. You know, I was starting to get like I needed a lot of sleep. If I had a day off, I'd just sleep the whole day.
Some people go through this for years, months, and some of these harsh acts allegedly take place in Riverside, California.
An executive was made to mop up the bathroom floor with his tongue. Another was put into a bucket and pummeled by some of the women and called a lesbian.
Going through all these traumatizing events, there has to be a breaking point. I don't care how tough you are. So as any sane human being, you'll want to leave. But there's only one problem. You just don't leave Scientology. The one thing Scientology is good at is silencing its critics and intimidating ex-members. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a multi-millionaire or just a casual Sea Org member. Their methods are ruthless. Take for example Uncle Sam. Yes, believe it or not, Scientology tried to take out the IRS when they denied them tax exemption.
Of Scientologists all filed lawsuits, not just against the IRS, but against individual IRS employees.
There are no boundaries with Scientology. They can have you followed and recorded.
Come on, Marty. Got anything to say?
What's your name? Why don't you answer his question?
Beat it. I should get off my property, boy.
I knew they had their goons around. And then the guy rolls down his window and I saw the truck and he starts filming and I go, okay, this is not good.
What's going on? Oh, we're just doing a documentary.
Documentary?
Former Scientology deal.
But it would probably be a good idea if y'all went ahead. Now that you've gotten what you need, go ahead and leave the area.
Sure.
Okay.
Make websites slandering your name.
www.whoistomdevock.com. Whoispaulhaggis.com. Paul Haggis, the hypocrite of Hollywood.
And if your family is still part of Scientology, they can simply be ordered to disconnect from you.
I was planning on talking to my daughter and trying to tell her what was really happening. She hugged me. She told me she loved me. She said, I have to disconnect from you.
But even if you manage to escape, you'll still be looking over your shoulder every day of your life.
They hire private detectives to harass people.
I have been sued twice.
Financial ruin.
Years of harassment.
Their homes broken into, have been beaten.
We chased her around, we followed her to the airport.
Gotten hold of personal phone records.
Slash their tires, break their car windows.
I was locked in a chicken wire cage.
So next time you try to join Scientology, remember, there's an exodus, all right, but at a price. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was long overdue. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. And if you like these types of videos, subscribe and ring my bell. I appreciate you all. Till next time, remember to keep trekking, fam.